You are welcome. You are listening or watching Kakombe Funga Mukaba, or Stéphane Funga, or Kakombe, depending of how we've connected. You are listening to my story. I decided to share my story because I wanted to educate, inspire, or just inform someone about my journey from the Democratic Republic of Congo to the United States, where I am at the moment. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. The YouTube channel is Stéphane Funga. As I'm releasing my story, I suggest that you visit my website, stephanefunga.com or kakombe.com. Under the section photos, you'll be able to see images of my journey on my website. If you have not watched episode 1 and 2, I suggest that you go and watch episode 1 and 2, because this is my story. And to understand where we are now on episode 3, you need to watch or listen to episode 1 and 2. Episode 3, it is my teenagers years. I am in Kindu. My dad was a military man. He was an accountant. And he also did payroll in all Maniema. He paid the military. He took care of military families. And I was a spoiled kid. I did not listen. I did not follow the rule. My buddy, who I hang out with, his name was Mbekumbaya. And Mbekumbaya in Swahili mean bad seed. I've seen kids, cause problem. But when you have a kid who is named a bad seed, and this is what will happen every time, somebody will report us to our parent. My dad will be like, how, talking to his, to my buddy's dad. So how do you give your own son a name like bad seed, and you expect a good thing to come from a bad seed? It's impossible. And my dad used to say, Jina njo mutu. Jina njo mutu in Swahili, it translates in English that you are what your name is. So somehow, because I was hanging out with a bad seed, they say you are what your company is. We cause so many problems. And, Africa being Africa, my dad was influential. He was just a surgeon, but he was respected. Everywhere he would go, or the general will stand up and give him a seat. When you manage money and you are somebody with integrity, people respect you. But me, I was just a different kid back then. So because I'm hanging out with older boys, obviously, we had to talk girls. I mean, they had to talk girls, and I was there listening. They'll bring all these stories about, I was like 12 or 13 at that time. And I'm hanging out with kids who are obviously 16, 17, 20. And me and my buddy, Bad Seed, we're there. We're listening to those stories, how they're talking about girls. Why I'm bringing this? Because on my show, on my YouTube, I have a Friday, we run a live where we talk about relationships. And somebody asked me, Kakombe, why, or Stéphane, why are you starting a relationship live? What experience do you have? The only experience I have is my own journey, whether it's on relationships or how I deal with people. It's just based on my experience, and that's what I'm sharing on my story. So I am introduced, or I get into the adult world when I was 13. How it happened is the elder boys, they'll talk that, hey, I was with this girl and this is how it is. They brag about how good it was and so on and so forth. And then my buddy, Mbekumbaya, who's a bad seed. So we get to talk, the two of us, say, so how do we experience what they're talking about? So my buddy Mbekumbaya came up with an idea, say, hey, you can actually talk to this girl, and so you can experience that too. I was 13. The girl was like 18 or 20. She was older than us. So what happened is, at that point, we decided to talk to her. I talked to her. And she's like, yes, if you want to experience that with me, it's going to cost you. So I asked her how much it's going to cost me. It's going to cost you 50 Zaire money at that time. This is what? In the 80s? So now I speak to my buddy, Mbekumbaya. I said to him, I said, okay, she said it's going to cost me, and this is how much it's going to cost for me to experience that. And again, hey, what would you expect if you have a buddy who is named Bad Seed? Of course, he comes up with ideas, but they're not good ideas. So Mbekumbaya said, you know what? We can actually get the 50 that she asked, so you can experience it. So in my house, there used to be money for the soldiers because my dad was an accountant, but my sister also was actually selling hunting bullet. She'll buy them in Kinshasa, bring them in Kindu, and then she'll sell it so people go hunting. So Mbekumbaya said, you know what? You can just take 10 bullets from your sister's merchandise, and then we'll sell it. And then part of the money, we'll give it to her so you can experience that. And then the rest of the money, hey, we'll do what we want. I asked Mbekumbaya, I said, so do you have somebody who can buy it? I said, yeah, we'll figure it out. Remember, if you're hanging out with a kid called Bad Seed, you become a bad seed too, whether you like it or not. It's all about the company. The company that you have will influence and affect your life. So I did exactly what Bekumbaya said. When I understood one thing, I'm going to make clear here, even though I was 12, 13, I knew that the military money, there's no way I'll touch it. But my sister's money, yeah, it was my sister's money. I could touch it. So I took the 10 bullet, handed it to Mbekumbaya, went and sold it. We got 100 Zairian money back then in the 80s. This was a lot of money. And then we gave the girl 50. So the first time I am actually having the experience with a woman, it cost me 50 Zairian money. I was 12 or 13. 50 the first time. In the 80s, you can do your conversion. So I paid to have that experience. Paid the money, had the experience, come to the group, told them, I said, hey, I did it. But everything that you guys talked about here, that is going to be great, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, I did not feel any of those things. They all burst and laugh. They start laughing, touching my head, and say, because you're still a kid. You won't experience what we experienced. You were still a kid. That was my first time. But I learned. From that point, I was no longer a kid. I understand that dealing with women, it's going to cost you. Whether you like it or not, it's going to cost you. So there's two things. That's I developed the art of talking to female and not going to school and not doing anything because the school to me was boring. If at 12, 13, you can actually, and because I paid for the first time, what happened from that point is she wanted more money. She was expecting me to be paying all the time. But I said, okay, get a book and start writing. So we went on credit. So I'll go, I'll do it. She'll drop $5 off. So we were, the first time I paid 50, the second time it was 45, the third time it was 40, and until we got to the zero. But I did not pay for the rest. I paid for the first time. The rest, it was just recorded in a book. But that was my first experience. If you're listening to me or watching me on YouTube, this is Kakombe Funga Mukaba or Stéphane Funga or Kakombe. This is my story and I am sharing it with you. This was episode 3. And I'll be talking to you next on episode 4. On episode 4, we will be talking about Kinshasa. Until then, goodbye.